Good morning, everyone. It's
Hi,
Wednesday
guys.
morning again, and we're back to talk about Chapter 2 of MacKenzie Lands.
And we're sitting at our kitchen table today. That's different.
Yes, we are, and I brought my little friend. It's a little witch. Paula doesn't like her, but she's my good luck charm for this video.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're going to go from Inverness all the way over to the Atlantic Ocean, right?
We are on the north and west edges of MacKenzie Lands, and then we're going to turn around and go back.
Yeah, we're going to go from the Atlantic Ocean all the way across Scotland, and we're going to go to the North Sea.
Yep.
And we're going to see Fort George.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of history today, lots of scenery. We're bringing Steve McLeish along with us, although I should say he's taking us along
That's
with him.
That's actually what's happening. He's leading the way.
Yeah. So we're so appreciative of all you folks that watched Chapter 1 and gave us such great comments.
Yeah, it was really lovely. We weren't sure how well it was going to be received. We were thrilled.
And it probably would be a good idea if you haven't seen Chapter 1 to watch it first before this one.
So you understand what we're doing here.
Exactly. Okay, this adventure starts right now.
Okay, Dale, so we're on Loch Kennellan here. So if you pan round here, you can see there's a little island with those trees just
right
there. In the 1400s, the Mackenzies actually had a tower house, a castle on that little bit, and they used to raid this whole area. So we're in the middle of Strathpeffer, which is the present-day home of the Mackenzie clan chief. But back in the 14th century, through the 15th century, the Mackenzies had a tower house, a castle, just on this little part here. And all around the loch here, and mostly up here where the fields are, just to our left, you would have had settlement as well. So a lot of the Mackenzie clan lived in this area in the 1300s and the 1400s. And this is where they would raid from. This is one of their main bases in this area of Ross. So we had the Battle of Drumchat here in 1497, just on these slopes just ahead of us here, just where the main fields are. Now, in the late 1400s, Clan MacDonald, who we were speaking about yesterday over at Eilean, they were raiding all over the place, right up Loch Ness. The monarch at that time, James IV, he was getting very fed up with them, and he was trying to beat them down because they were ruining the economy up here, taking tax money. People couldn't pay their taxes. The king wasn't happy. So he took away a lot of the land of the MacDonalds that were kind of south and west of us, and he made all the Highland clans swear an oath of allegiance to the king. Now, some of the first clans to sign up for that were Clan Mackenzie, because they knew they better stay on the right side of the king if they want to keep their land. They didn't want the same thing to happen to them. And Clan Monroe. Now, traditionally, Clan Monroe and Clan Mackenzie were at loggerheads with each other. They were rivals. But in order to fight off their common enemy, the MacDonalds, they formed together in an uneasy alliance. Now, when the MacDonalds lost all their land, they didn't take that line down, so they would regularly raid the neighbours who took the oath of James IV for retribution. So the MacDonalds came into this area here and plundered a lot of this land. And up at Loch Kennellan, where we were with that island base, the Mackenzie men came out and met them in battle just below us here at the Battle of Drumchat, or the Battle of the Cat's Back. Now, it was a small scale battle, just maybe 50 to 60 men at a time, but there was heavy casualties on both sides. And the MacDonald men were chased down the valley here, back down to the river where we were at the roadside, and all of them were drowned pretty much to a man. You can see the river. So they were all drowned to a man by the Mackenzies and the Monroes. Yeah, so they took their vengeance. So resounding victory for the Mackenzies here. So, but a beautiful place for a battlefield.
Loch Marie is the largest freshwater loch north of Loch Ness and is named after an 8th century saint. This roadway is so incredible you will see it featured in all kinds of commercials and feature films. Gairloch, which means short loch in Gaelic, is a village in Wester Ross in the Northwest Highlands. It has a long history of fishing, as well as a mild climate that yields wonderful gardens and even fruit trees. The lands around Gairloch have been mostly in the ownership of the MacKenzies since the 15th century. The MacKenzies were clan leaders in the traditional sense and known for their attachment to their tenants. During the 19th century, Sir Hector MacKenzie refused to evict a single tenant during the clearances. As a result, evicted Highlanders came from other communities to live in the area and have caused Gairloch to remain a thriving community even today. This is a natural sand beach in the North Atlantic, and the day we were there, it was very, very chilly.
That little hub there right at the end of the beach, that's where the Mackenzies hanged all their enemies, yeah.
All
Or
right.
anybody in the town who wasn't playing ball. So, yeah. Career in terms of, you know, a poor guy who was working the farm, maybe could get a bit of adventure and then maybe some booty as well. So it's a good career for a lot
Maybe
of guys.
some
So
booty
maybe
as
some,
well.
literally and figuratively, Paul, I guess. So yeah, both ways. But depending on who you are. But yeah, that was one of the reasons why a lot of the local guys, especially in the Highlands, joined the army. It's a big recruiter up here, which is incredible considering the history of Culloden. It doesn't take long, you know, a generation later than men are joining up, you know. So
It is kind of sad for us to look back on.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it seems kind of disloyal,
yeah.
but also man is practical. You
Yeah, they
gotta
are.
you gotta
Exactly.
eat.
That's it. You've got to do it. So yeah.
All right, Dale, here's a good one.
So, yeah. This is interesting. A polite man at the end of it. So thank you, sir.
We just drove all the way across Scotland from the Atlantic coast to the North Sea.
Your whole idea here is basically to channel you into a series of killing zones. So already you can see there's cannon up there, so they'd be firing grape shot at us already. And you just turn around and go for a beer. You wouldn't even bother taking this place on. Your first door is up here, which is kind of a wooden palisade door. And you can say, well, no big deal. You either jump over this fence, go biggie, or you just smash through the gate. And that would be fairly easy to do. But the nasty surprise is when you come round the corner, which you'll see in a second. So this is door number 1.
Okay.
Door number 2 is where you change your underpants and walk away. So, as you'll see in a second. So you're getting fired at from here. This cannon would have opened up on us with a grape shot
look
just
at that
behind
guy.
us. So yeah, he's firing down on you. But he's reloading, so you can say that's okay. I'll keep going. I'll keep rushing around this corner, and then your trouble starts. So you break your neck falling down there. And if you don't,
You can't get out.
You can't get up the other side, and they're firing on you all the time. And you would have had musketeers up here, right above us as well, firing down on you. So there's no way. Plus, this would have been a drawbridge. There's soldiers on the base. So get a wee appreciation down here, Dale, of how thick these doors are as well. Come right this way. So they're not insubstantial.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so because it's a British military base, you've got the Union flag, the British flag flying above it. Just a
Oh, that's an interesting distinction.
yes, yeah. So you'll see the same at Edinburgh Castle as well, because there's a military presence up there, and Stirling as well. Culloden is 1746. Yeah. So the barracks on your right and left, they were the first. These are all authentic to the 18th century. They're 1750s, so they were the first buildings that were actually erected on the base, and then the barracks further down were the next ones. So they're all date stamped, so you'll see the dates on them when we go round there. So
they're going on 300 years old.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Take in here, Dale.
All right.
The Regimental Museum, after you.
I want to get the picture.
Go for it.
We did not take any video in the Regimental Museum due to the poor lighting, but we did take lots of photographs. The collection of military artifacts and memorabilia is staggering, especially when you consider how long the British Army has been in existence and how many wars and battles they have been involved in throughout history. There are displays from the Middle Ages all the way up to the present day. Fort George is significant to the MacKenzies as it was the regimental depot for the Seaforth Highlanders in the 19th and 20th centuries, and the Earl of Seaforth was the chief of Clan MacKenzie. Members of the clan would have come to Fort George to enlist or be recruited ever since it was built, which was right after Culloden. This MacKenzie tartan and sporran were worn in the First World War by the 16th Battalion Canadian Expeditionary Force. This chilling display is actually a piece of Adolf Hitler's desk removed from the bunker beneath the Chancellery in Berlin by the Seaforth Highlander in May 1945. This is a set of silver-mounted bagpipes with the Seaforth tartan from the late 18th century. The Highland Piper has been a part of the British Army forces for centuries and still is today. In fact, the Army School for Pipers and Drummers is in Edinburgh.
Through the storehouse and bakery here. So the whole place was kitted out, Dale, to hold out in case of siege. They had their own food and water supply. They had a well as well. So, and just on the left, this little kind of building with a slanted roof just to our left, that's the stables. So they had stables in there as well. As I say, the officers had their own personal horses.
Okay.
But they also had work horses. So you can see the ramps just ahead of us where those folks are coming down. So the horses would pull the cannon.
See it.
And this is your chapel right up here. So this is largely dedicated to the Seaforth Highlanders. It's their regimental chapel, as you can see, sharing with the Queen's Own Highlanders. And this is still in operation today. This is an active chapel. So swap there, Dale. You've got your honour of the Seaforths. Q3, protect the King in Gaelic.
Right.
And the stag's head is the emblem of the chiefs of Clan MacKenzie. Barracks rooms here now, so this gives you an idea of barracks from an 18th century and a 19th century perspective, and there's an officer's barracks in here as well. So the joke was Scottish prisoners got more room space than the average soldier during the 18th and 19th century, so it was very, very cramped in here. Just watch your head coming in. Gets dark, but it lightens up just through here. And in room one here, this is your typical 18th century scene. So,
Oh.
as I say, a lot of the wives and kids were on the base. So, this lady here would have been cleaning for her husband and his 3 buddies as well. So, check the guy at the other side of the room. He looks a bit shifty, doesn't he? He looks a bit shifty. And in the 19th century, you don't have much better conditions. So, this is maybe fast forwarding nearly 100 years. So, fold up beds. And this is your Victorian 19th century army in here. So pretty Spartan.
Yeah.
Same idea though, four door rooms. So. This is your officers' quarters, just up here. So you go in there, just to your right, and you see the officer has got his space to himself.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he's got his nice neat bed as well, so he's doing okay. His little dog as well.
This guy's a little dog.
And his little cask of sherry too, so his cup of tea. So as I say, a lot of the local kids and artists here, the time we came through, they would have worked as servants here, so they would have been serving boys and girls onto the base, and then they would have just done their 9 to 5 and then back over as well. But they would have had a contingent of servants on the base at all times, but largely a lot of them were recruited from the local town or village. The last building I'll take you to is just across here, Dale. This is the Grand Magazine. This is in this building here. They held 2,000 barrels of gunpowder at its height, and that's why we have this big wall we're going through. This was a retaining wall in case the thing blew up.
Oh, yeah.
The barracks wouldn't be impacted, but I don't think I'd be too keen on staying up on that side of it. I'd rather be at the other side of the base, knowing this. I've got all the gunpowder here right next to my bedroom. I don't think I'd like that very much. So. And of course they have the epitomal joke in here, no smoking, walking to the gunpowder room. So it's also got a great 18th century weapons display as well it's called the Seaforth Collection. So Countess of Seaforth, MacKenzie, chief's wife, donated quite a lot of stuff into the museum. So this is the Grand Magazine, so all the gunpowder for the base was held in here. 2,000
Wow.
kegs of it. So all these weapons on your left, they're all authentic to the period. One of your authentic 18th century grenadier caps from the Napoleonic period. The bearskin, that's proper bearskin obviously. So now the British Army, with their bearskins, their guards regiments use synthetic.
Our last stop at Fort George was up the ramps to the Point Battery, where the cannons point out to the Moray Firth and the North Sea. Talk about a strategic location. The fort is basically surrounded by water on 3 sides, and you already saw how difficult it would be to approach from the land side. Anyway, by that time my video was out of juice, but we did get some great photos anyway. Up here, visitors can look for dolphins, porpoises, and small whales while playing in the Firth, although we didn't see any that day. The cannons were impressive. In fact, this entire fort was an incredible experience.
So this is a 2-way street, Dale, as well. I come up here in the van.
No way.
2-way. Paula, vouch for me. 2-way.